Also a statement is Cristiano Ronaldo, who was always going to be at the centre of debate, considering the way that Roberto Martínez was going to use him throughout his tournament. We saw late on against Croatia, he didn't come off initially, Ramos came on, but he did come off in the end, and it was Ramos who scored that crucial goal. Ramos didn't play in these 90 minutes. Roberto Martínez made 5 substitutions, none of them took Cristiano Ronaldo off.
If you're Gonzalo Ramos, who's just made a move from PSG to Milan, he's just scored the winner in the round of 32 against Croatia, such an important goal, and you don't even come on the field in a game that's tight, because he thinks he's saving you for extra time, where he gets that added substitute. But you don't get to extra time, because when Merino scores, then the game is dead and buried pretty much, and he doesn't have that substitutions. And in the biggest of moments, and we talked about this for months, about the manager of Portugal. Yeah, he took him off in that Croatia game, but this was the biggest of moments against one of the favourites for the tournament, and he's left a player on who did basically little in the game. There was no... Kubasi and Aymeric Laporte, there was no threat. There was no threat from Ronaldo. The threat was going to be maybe the pace of Leao in the wider area, maybe the pace of Neto on the right-hand side. There was no threat of the pace from Cristiano Ronaldo getting in behind, but we knew that. We knew that, so it needed something different. And they'll nail him to a mast back in Portugal about this. They got to. Because it's not about Ronaldo. It's not about him playing the last World Cup. It's not about all that. It's about Portugal and the national team and this multi-talented squad of players they've got. And he made a decision, Roberto Martínez, for the individual, not for the betterment of the team. And they've paid the penalty.
That's what I regret about it. It's not a Ronaldo testimonial. That was a game to please him. That was a game to go through. It was like today seeing Neymar coming on. That's a kind of a tribute. No, that's a national team game, and you want to go through. So it's a regret. Ronaldo had some chances with the half bicycle in the first half, but it wasn't productive enough in the second half, and it would have been, I think, only fair to maybe try something with Gonzalo Ramos to bring something different. And Roberto Martínez didn't take that opportunity, and he will have to pay the price.
At the same time, though, Ronaldo was not the only underperformer in this Portugal team. We came into this World Cup saying that Portugal arguably had the best midfield of any team in the tournament. Yet you'd not seen anything from that incredibly talented midfield. While I agree, Ronaldo could have been sacrificed, in want of a better word, a whole lot sooner, a whole lot more often during the course of this tournament. You being unable to get a tune out of that midfield three, again, that is as damning a criticism on Roberto Martínez as his unwillingness to make big changes. And I'm looking at Ronaldo here.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about this the other day, Shaq. You're looking at Vitinha, João Neves and Bruno Fernandes, right? And I talked about this, I think, last week and previous weeks. When they're playing at their club, respectively Man United and PSG, they have players up front in the front three, particularly through the middle, that they can just bend balls in first time, right? Without looking. We see Bruno Fernandes doing it at Man United. That ball comes into him and he whips it around the corner for Mbemo or Sesko. They don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, they've got at PSG, they've got Dembele, they've got Dewey, they've got Kvaratskhelia, they've got Barcola. They can play those balls in. They're almost taking extra touches because Ronaldo's coming short all the time. He can't go in behind, so it completely negates that threat. And Frank will tell you, as a centre-half, if you're not worried about the pace, you can squeeze the game a little bit more.
Exactly, you can play higher because you know that you won't have any problem seeing a ball in behind you, and you won't have to regulate your defensive line as a sweeper that I was to say, okay, we drop a little bit because the guy is running back and he's running behind us, and it's going to be hard for us to deal with that. But if the guy doesn't do it at front, you can go up, squeeze, and you create problems in the middle of the park because you're going to push your middle line to go and pressurize, for example, Vitinha and Neves. So that was an issue. That's true. That's really critical about that. And you couldn't put Ronaldo if you have somebody who does the job, who does on the left side, like Leao maybe or somebody else, who go behind the defense in the space. But neither Felix or Leao or somebody else have done that.
Why didn't he change it?
That's been the question and more to the point, the concern. about Roberto Martínez.
I haven't seen the press conference. I imagine say Martínez, he's one of the greatest players. If you need someone to make a difference, he has still got it within him to make that difference. That's why I can't take him off.
I'm not sure the latter is true.
I was being Roberto Martínez.
Well, I agree what you say, and absolutely. Listen, at its peak, the game has not known a better goal scorer than Cristiano Ronaldo. So you understand that. I don't know if he still has it in him.
Martínez clearly thinks he does. So why does he?
But that has always been the concern, that Roberto Martínez is unable to make the big decisions in a way that Fernando Santos did 3.5 years ago. We are now 3.5 years further on, yet we kind of knew coming into this tournament that Roberto Martínez was not going to make that call. He just did not have the nous about him.
Wasn't a difficult call.
Shouldn't have
6 months ago, 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago, that Portugal are unlikely to win the World Cup with a 41-year-old up front. That's not a controversial statement. Portugal were not going to win the World Cup with a guy in his 40s up front. Roberto Martínez has facilitated this, right? He's allowed it because the qualifiers against the Liechtensteins and the Latvias and the Moldovas and whoever the hell Portugal play, and they rack up 5, 6 and 7 goals against these teams, and they're padding their stats. The big question was going to be, when you get to the World Cup on this stage against the better quality teams, can you in reality be successful with a player in his 40s as good as he has been? And I agree, he has been brilliant. I don't think you get anybody arguing that. But it's a young man's game. It's a game of pace. It's a game of getting in behind. It's a game of stretching teams. And he can't do that anymore. Yes, he'll score goals in Saudi Arabia that nobody really gives a stuff about, and he'll score them in these qualifiers. But that's not what Portugal want.
Yeah, but the problem
they want it on the big stage in the field.
The question is, who's responsible for that? I don't think we should blame Cristiano Ronaldo. He didn't ask for anything. I mean, it doesn't seem that last time when he went out, he was frustrated. But like any striker in the world,
So this is all at Martínez's.
Yeah. Do make your own choices. Decide for that, and the player will have to accept that. And I'm pretty sure that Cristiano Ronaldo would have accepted that. You don't score, you're not influenced enough the game, so you get out. But he didn't do it, and because maybe he was scared of him. But I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo is responsible for that.
When he goes into the press conference, Roberto Martínez, I'm almost sure the Portuguese press have to be saying, why did you leave the goal scorer from the Croatia game on the bench scratching his backside? Yeah. Why did you do that? What's the reason? Why didn't you try and win the game? Were you playing for extra time? What, they'll be asking those questions.
Yeah, but he's going to say, like he always said, I believe that Cristiano Ronaldo will score a goal. Yeah. And it's what he said last time.
So explain to me this. Is it all... Does Martínez take all the blame for playing Ronaldo? Bruno Fernandes was anonymous.
Ronaldo's not...
So we're picking on Ronaldo and Martínez.
No, I'm not picking on Ronaldo. I'm picking on Martínez.
But others still have to step up, don't they? Absolutely. I understand what you're saying. They haven't got a target, but still there was nothing from the Premier League Player of the Year. Vitinha, the best player in midfield.
Maybe that's part. Maybe because
is it all a knock-on effect?
Maybe because there's certain cogs in the wheel that don't make themselves attractive to those players playing better. And I don't know, maybe that's just an excuse. And I'm not blaming Ronaldo. Listen, the desire of that guy to turn out for his country is incredible. I mean, there's a couple of 100 caps. I'm blaming the manager. And I'm blaming the manager for not getting the best out of the other players. They also lost Nuno Mendes to injury, which is, we all well know, is arguably the best left-back in world football at the moment. But this is a huge disappointment for a supremely talented Belgium side. But this is a discussion I almost knew we were going to have. We almost knew we were going to have this discussion about the talent not quite performing and about the manager not making a big decision on Portugal's arguably greatest ever star player in a major tournament. We knew we were going to have this discussion all during the year.